Welcome to this episode of Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I am overwhelmed with joy in the guests that I have to present for you today. I think that not only does she have the experience, the knowledge, the background with the information that she's going to share in the topic that we are going to discuss today, but she is just a joy to listen to. She is unbelievably knowledgeable, and not only that, but Sharry Edwards, who is with us today, has been named the Scientist of the Year in 2001 for her work in BioAcoustic Biology. And this was by the International Association of New Science. What is incredible about this work is something that you're going to have to hear directly from her. I cannot do justice not only to the work within this field, but the passion that she has been able to build along with it. We're talking about today fibromyalgia, and with this topic, many people will be on one side of the coin or maybe even the other. It is a very debilitating condition. It is something that causes so much pain and fatigue, but it has been very difficult for some to identify. And so much so that on the flip side of it, there are people who say, no, this is all in your head. You're making it up. Maybe you're just a hypochondriac. But it is a very true condition that causes so much challenge for people and the individuals and the families that are living with this. Welcome to the show, Sharry.
Hi, I feel like I've met a new friend.
I think you have. I feel so happy inside when I talk to you, because you and I share a huge common ground in a number of ways, but the most prevalent is the one where we love to help other people. And I know for me, and I'm gonna bet that it's the same for you, is that when you're helping other people, you feel a sense of joy as they're moving forward in overcoming whatever challenges it is they're facing. And that in itself is so valuable. You can't put a monetary dollar amount on it. You can't try to reproduce those feelings. It's just a wonderful feeling to have, knowing that you really, really, truly helped someone and changed their life. And I know for me, that is my purpose here.
I love it when I'm working with some of these vocal print and nobody can figure it out. And there it is in the numbers. That's the reason this is happening. For a little kid that was here that just kept falling down and couldn't walk, and we figured out what was going on with him, or people who come in, the doctors have given up on, and we get to look at their vocal print and see what's behind this. And it's like this wonderful sleuthing puzzle. And I want to share that with everybody.
I just love it. And for those in the audience who have not heard of vocal print before, why don't we share a little bit about that so that they can get up to speed as we continue on in our discussion?
Well, vocal profiling came out of something we were trying to do and just munching around with it and didn't know anything. And finally discovered that if we look at 30 seconds or so of your vocal print, that we can look at the frequencies, like the sour notes, like there's sour notes in a song. There are, we call them anomalies. There are vocal anomalies, numbers that don't fit in your vocal print, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I mean, it's musical, but we look at the numbers. And if you've got something in your chart that says this note plus this note equals something that isn't right, like 2 + 2 = 7, in
Okay.
numeric values, then we know in that particular case that you have some immune issue.
Very, very interesting. And not only is this fascinating, but it might bring a question to some. Is this the same as what a polygrapher or a voice stress analysis would be like? Or is it different?
It's sort of akin to it, but they also check galvanic skin response, they check nerve responses, but we're looking purely at a vocal print, and you can send it to us on the internet. We don't have to be with you where it is, because the internet now is very, very accurate in sending information. So I took one of your vocal prints right from one of your radio shows.
I love it.
So we can do that with people. It takes about 30 seconds to get a good print out of somebody.
This is quite remarkable.
They get so nervous up front. But if I can sneak and take it, like, do it on your radio show, then we get something very valuable about what is going on. And we have looked at thousands of vocal prints, and this is what we've proven. People with similar diseases, traumas, genetic syndromes, nutritional deficiencies, eye problems, those that have similar issues have similar vocal anomalies, similar sour notes. And so we've been able to decode things that nobody else has done, or like fibromyalgia, when they said it's incurable. And we looked at it and we found at least 3 frequencies that will take away fibromyalgia pain. And we did it right on a TV show for a lady, and then went in and looked, and it was Pitocin that they had given her when she had her twins 16 years ago, and the body had never cleared it. It had put it down in the muscle striations. And so we gave her the antidote frequency for Pitocin, and her fibromyalgia pain went away in about 7 minutes.
This is unbelievable. So now if someone, do they need to come see you in your office, or is it something that they can do via Skype or over the phone, because it's done by frequency, right?
Right. And here's the exciting part, because I think our current medical system is not doing right by us. I created something, it's a database, and I want to share it with everybody. So if they'll go to soundhealthportal.com and look under, I think it's free things or something, they can have a free vocal print and get tested for fibromyalgia, and they'll just bop you out a report.
This is absolutely incredible. Now, you said you were just kind of, you said munching around and this and that, and you came upon this. So what was the process? I mean, how did it click somewhere that said, okay, there is something within the vocal cords that correlate, or the vocal tones that correlate with internal diseases or health issues? I mean, this is just absolutely mind-blowing to think about how simplistic this 30-second test is, and it can change your life forever.
Absolutely, and it comes from a very esoteric perspective. I was raised in Appalachia, no electricity, no running water, no external sounds. And I think the sounds of all this electricity really have begun to mess us up. So I could hear things. My ears developed differently.
Okay.
And my vocal cords developed differently. I think that's the reason for it. And I could hear things in people's voices and duplicate them verbally, and headaches would go away or bleeding would stop. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just singing to people when they were upset or hurt.
Oh, how beautiful.
Then I started working for a speech and hearing department, and they were doing a project on blood pressure and sound. So here I am, they're testing my ears to see what's going on with this, because I was able to produce a sound that would reduce blood pressure. And they wanted to know why that was going on.
Okay.
So this samurai warrior student was there, and he also had high blood pressure, and he wanted to start a family, and the medication made him impotent. And he said, do you think you could do anything? And so I did his sound, and he nearly dropped to his knees. He felt his blood pressure drop. And he now thinks that that yell that the samurai warriors do right before they attack an opponent was really because they were taught to hear the opponent's sound, duplicate it, and then drop their blood pressure so that they couldn't attack. So we started with that premise, and we're able to move people's blood pressure, and usually it goes up and down in tandem, and we were doing this kind of thing.
Okay.
We could kill people with this sound, which is one of the reasons that we don't teach it to prisoners. But from there, and it was my voice that I was hearing it. And from there, we just started looking at it to see what we could find. We were doing a whole day of evaluation of people and taking it back to the lab and getting this little scratch off stuff and seeing what the frequencies were. And it was just so stupid as I look back on it. And then we discovered this little Korg. It's a little thing that tells you what frequencies you are saying. And then we decided we could do it from your voice. We were doing it from my ears. Now we can do it from your voice, because that's a dual thing going in. You speak, it goes into your ear. So you self-program a lot of the time. So from there, we just started studying and amassing information. We went to the National Institute of Health. We went to the FDA, and they said, nobody's going to believe you.
Right.
There's no way to study this. And what we took with them is we have a frequency that will help trigger fingers, so that a trigger finger gets real stiff and won't do what it ought to do. And we just would smooth that out really well. And they were...
That part geared toward like military and police officers?
It was geared toward people who couldn't use magnesium and calcium, and they were having like a lot of muscle cramps during sports events.
Okay.
And that's what we were going for, and it ended up helping trigger fingers. So we don't know what we can do. We're just kind of munching around to see what we can find. But we've done this to newborns without a voice, just with their crying. And so we know that we can do it. I've done it with comatose people because I can hear the sounds. Mm-hmm. It's actually an acoustic, OTO, acoustic emission.
Okay.
Johns Hopkins University proved that that's what I was hearing. And it's a manifestation of the brain. And in ancient literature, it's what's called a signature sound. So I think this must be a talent that we lost someplace. Uh-huh. And I want people to know that privacy is an illusion. People really know. They're just too polite to tell you. And we have a computer program for them if they'd like. It's called Nano Voice, N-A-N-O, meaning little voice. And it's free on our website, soundhealthoptions.com. Okay. They can download it from downloads. They can talk into it. Do I want this job? Is this the right husband? Is my kid lying? And it'll give you a printout and tell you the direction that you really need to go without all the oughts and shoulds.
This is absolutely fascinating, and this is just the small piece of the pie in what you're sharing with us, because you're able to do so many things. Now, let me ask you, if somebody came to you and said, I don't have the symptoms of fibromyalgia, but I am dealing with diabetic pain, like foot neuropathy or something along those lines, will this help with that as well?
Yes, we have over 100 software programs.
Oh my goodness.
That we share with people. And when you go in to get your fibromyalgia evaluation, they will scan all 100 of those and give you a printout and see where you stand.
Oh my goodness. Yes, because fibromyalgia is something that is experienced throughout the entire body. So I can see that if you're testing for that and you're doing the 100, it's going to detect all of the other challenges that maybe somebody's facing. And this is absolutely amazing to me, and it seems so fascinating. I just want to, start looking at data and literature and becoming more knowledgeable in this, because this is just, to me, it's just mind-blowing. I am so excited about this. And what's especially exciting about this is that those patients who have sought medical help and have been told things that are in their head, or there's nothing wrong with them, or it cannot be treated. In my opinion, there is some treatable method for everything. I've never bought into it. I've done so much research in different areas where we have been told, no, there is no cure for that, only to find out later on that there is. And not only that, but for the ones that they say they don't, I've seen research on that has proven that the disease is curable, but no one can make any money off the natural effect of it. So there's no way to patent these things, and the pharmaceutical industry is kind of left out of they're in the dark on that. So it's easier to treat symptoms with pills. It's easier to tell people it's all in their head and then start having to send them off to some kind of therapy when they don't need that. They need to have something internal done, whether, like you said, it could be magnesium, it could be a B vitamin, it could be something very simplistic that their body is just needing so it can combat the effects of certain things. I'm amazed by this, Sharry.
I'm amazed by it, and I do it every day. We had a lady come to us a couple of weeks ago, and she had MS. And one of the things that happens to her when she has an MS attack, or whatever you call it, is she loses the sight out of her right eye.
Interesting.
She can't see color. She can only see black and white. So I said, next time you have one of those episodes, let me know, and I'll come in and take your vocal print. This sounds absolutely unbelievable, but we did her frequencies, and there was 3 that were obvious, that were very relevant. On the 3rd one, she said, stop. She could see color, and I held a piece of paper up in the back of me, and she could read without her glasses. Now, she had gone to the doctor, and they verified that she had some kind of inflammation in her eye. And she went back like 2 days later after she had her sounds, and she said, look at my eye and see what you see. Yes, there's retinitis. I think that's what she called it. And she said, well, watch this. And she put this tone box on that we've invented and had him look at her 2 or 3 minutes later, and the inflammation was gone. They can't believe it. We can't believe it. And what it ended up being was a frequency for opsin, which is about color. I don't know what the word is. It helps you see color better. And giving her back that frequency, and it hadn't occurred to anybody that opsin was the issue, but there it was in her vocal print.
So let me ask you this, and I have 2 thoughts here, because we're talking about frequency and sound. And so I have heard that people can be sound sensitive. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
especially the ADD kids.
What's that?
Especially the ADD kids. The autistic kids are incredibly sensitive to sound.
Now, if they are sound sensitive, is there a way for you to utilize frequencies to overcome that?
Absolutely. Like noise canceling headsets.
Yes.
We know the formula to cancel out what they're hearing and what they're being overloaded with. Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Okay, so now the next question I have then is, frequencies cause also vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that come into play with the whole scope of treatment?
Well, vibration is frequency, color is frequency, sound is frequency, medication is frequency, the universe is frequency. So frequency is ... So yes, you can use a drum and get the vibration of it. You can dance. You can use the sound ambiently in the air. You can put headphones on, but that's a vibration and auricular medicine. So it's all there. We just broke the codes. String theory says that we are made of these infinitesimal little strings, but they don't know what makes them make an eyeball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We have figured out the code, not the DNA, but the RNA, the proteins that run the DNA and make it do what it ought to do. Think about driving down the highway at 60 miles an hour. That's a frequency. And we use frequency, we get it from your voice. But we've added an extra component, a magnetic potential. And that's like all the rules and regulations that keep you on your side of the road. We have figured out what that magnetic potential is to make those proteins do what they ought to do. We've reversed Down syndrome with frequency.
My goodness.
We have some journals on our site, Journal of BioAcoustic Biology, and we have a lot of the profiles there. We just did some profiles on lipidemia, and I think this is going to change the way women look at their bodies.
Talk to me about that, because many people don't realize what that is.
They just think people are fat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look up lipedema, which is the English, no, that's the American spelling, and lipodema, and they're probably going to come up anyway. But it's when fat goes into the cell and can't get back out. Okay. So the fat coagulates, like the difference between coconut oil that's liquid and coconut oil that is solid.
Okay.
And there's no cure except surgery, where they open up your skin and take these fat modules out. Right. And it's much more than adipose tissue. It looks like a mass of a bridge that fell over. There's some adipose tissue in there, but at the same time, it's got a lot of junk and fiber in there.
Okay.
So nobody knew what was going on. It's called painful fat disease. And for women who have it, they just can't lose weight. It's not a matter of food. They just can't seem to lose weight, especially in their butt and in their thighs.
Okay.
And they test and see if they have it. And there's several stages of it. You can feel the painful nodules in your thigh, in your inner thigh.
Oh.
Doctors have not known how to cure it. They've not known what it was. But we did 14 people, and with about 10 people, we can crack the code. We know what causes lipidemia now. And there's lipidemia free evaluations on our website, that soundhealthportal.com one, so people can see why they have it. It's an inability for the body to use something called adiponectin and then vascular transporters. So the stuff comes into the skin, it moves out of the cells, into the cell, out.
Uh-huh.
And the transporter to move the stuff back out is troubled.
Okay.
I don't know a word for it. I'm not allowed to be a doctor and say it's diseased.
Okay.
But women who have this, and you've seen it in Kim Kardashian, how big her behind is.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the signs of the very first stage of it.
Oh, very interesting.
And if you'll go look at, I don't want to be impolite here, but World's Biggest Behind, you can see stages 3 and 4 of it, where women actually have a behind that's like 4 feet across.
Interesting. Okay.
It makes you cry to look at these women who are suffering and they can't walk, and the medical community says, well, you're just fat, quit eating.
Yes.
And that's not the case. This is a disease of the transporters.
You know, that's very interesting, because our society really looks down upon people who are not fitting in the mold of what their community is for that era. I mean, back many, many years ago, you had a situation where voluptuous women were the norm, and if you were too skinny, that was not a good thing. And now we are seeing that that's completely, the flip. And so what's interesting about that, though, is the misconception, and I think you said medical community, but not only that, but members of our communities, just peers, coworkers, families, they're telling you, oh, well, all you have to do is reduce your caloric intake and increase your exercise. And that is not always the case. I mean, that can work definitely for some people, but there are other people, many, many women who have spent years not only trying every diet and really truly sticking to it. Somebody will say, oh, well, you were cheating. No, no cheating there. And they're saying, well, then you should be looking like this, and it is not happening. Or they're having excessive exercise in some form or fashion, and they're still not achieving the results that they want to, or what society deems they should be at. So this is something that's very, very interesting to know, in that the transporters in the body are not working as efficiently as they should, and instead it's having a different result.
Well, one of the lipidemia societies says there's about 11 million people, women particularly, who have this. And I want them all to jump on our portal and get an evaluation of their voice so they can take that report to their doctor, because you can get adiponectin now. I think they said artichokes have adiponectin,
Okay.
avocados. I can't remember what else, but you can't go buy these transporters. It's only by frequency that we've been able to decode it.
So they can't go down to the nutrition store and look for something in a bottle and try and have a supplement of the adipotectin. They need to use the frequency so that the body begins to place itself in the right, and I guess that would be a frequency also, right? Or tone, I guess.
We're trying to stimulate the metabolism. And we had a kid in here that had just gotten beat up, and he'd been in a coma for a year and a half. And we were able to help him use his eyes again, his hands again. And through him, we proved that if we could get a frequency to the skin, it would hit the skin and go back to the brain. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You want to crook your little finger, and the thought comes from your brain.
Right.
But we proved that what we're doing is hitting the skin with a frequency. The nerves are taking it back to the brain and recreating those pathways. So we know that if we can get these transporter frequencies to people, think about all the spas in the world where women go to lose weight.
Yes.
And if we could have this, okay, here's free, punch a button, give us your vocal print. These are the frequencies you need, and they have some little machine there that can give you that frequency in those spas. That's just an awesome thought to me.
It is to me too. Now, does somebody have to, if they're, let's say they use the frequency one time and they're seeing results, do they need to continue to do that to ensure that whatever it is that they're facing actually gets resolved in its entirety?
We don't know why this happens, but they can take a vocal print, and we can do a comparison, and we can see if it did any good.
I see.
And a lot of the times, it's a 1 or 2 time shot. For instance,
my goodness.
For instance, there is another program that we have called Fat Switch.
Okay.
And it's when a hibernation gene in humans get turned on. So you gain, you lose, you gain, you lose. Like Kirstie Alley, how she moves with the climate or the temperature. But it's when you can't process proteins, and gout ends up being in the system, and that's something that makes your joints ache. It's a form of arthritis. So that's one of the ways you can tell you have it. And when that gout comes into your joints, it turns on that fat switch, that metabolism for hibernation, and you gain weight and you just can't do anything about it. That's another one that we can test.
This is absolutely phenomenal, and I know that we could talk on a million different aspects to all of this, but I'd like our audience to be able to have your contact information and allow them the opportunity to see for themselves just how remarkable what you're doing bioacoustics is. And so if you would share that information now, I think that that would be really fantastic.
If they would just use my name, Sharry, Sharry Edwards, we have over 500 demos on Vimeo, and this next week we're going to do a demo on what nutrients your brain needs. So there's 500 videos. They can go to Sound Health Portal and get their voice done.
Okay.
And they can go to Sound Health Options and look at all of these videos, which are free, textbooks, which are free. We have a 2-day free class every month for people, and we give them the software in the hopes of them setting up a bioacoustic center in their own community.
This is fantastic. So if someone wanted to get involved and set up a bioacoustic center in their community, what would they have to do?
Attend class.
I love it. I am so game. Where's the class at? I'm ready to go right
online. It's online.
This is unbelievable. This is absolutely remarkable. Well, Sharry, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing everything that you have. I want you to stay with me here after the show because I've got a couple of other questions, and we're going to also have an article out so that the audience will have something in their hands in addition to this with all of your contact information. So thank you so much.
Boy, that time was quick.
It does go by very fast, especially when you are passionate about something and it's so natural. It just makes things very, very easy. It does. And I want to thank all of you for taking an opportunity to watch our show today with Sharry Edwards. She is an unbelievably remarkable woman who is very prolific in the work that she's done. She's won awards for her work, and this information that she has shared today is something that can absolutely change your life for the better. And if it's not something that you are familiar with, there's lots of opportunities for you to do research on this. She has amazing information that you can utilize for that. And if you're not dealing with anything or you think that you're not, do take a voice print and see if there is something going on with you. But if you know of someone as well who is struggling and you'd like to see them overcome whatever challenge it is that they're facing, this is something that needs to get in their hands as well. I want to thank you again and stay tuned for the next Rebecca Sounds Reveille.